The beginning of the story is such a horrific and terrifying mistake which was about to kill some arrogant people. They were so proud of their youth and weapons that they thought the person in front of them was just a helpless and ordinary old farmer. Thinking this, they sneaked into his land and mercilessly killed his innocent and loyal dog. But those fools had no idea that the person whom they thought was weak and made fun of was actually not an ordinary human being but a very dangerous and deadly ex-Marine sniper. A ruthless sniper who had killed countless enemies in his life. Now he had picked up his old gun again and was aiming at his prey with a very accurate aim. Will these people survive, or will the sniper really blow their heads off? And if yes, then how? Actually, all this horrific beginning happened a few days ago in a small area of Mexico, where a small and very innocent boy named Miguel was spending his life with his mother Rosa in a small hut. His life was very simple. One afternoon when Rosa was cooking for her son in her small kitchen, then suddenly in that quiet environment, she gets a call from her brother Carlos. Frightened, Carlos was breathing heavily and tells that a very powerful cartel of the city has been after him because he had stolen a lot of their cash. He says that before it is too late, he should pack his things quickly and leave Mexico and go far away. However, shortly after the call, the cartel's Carlos is hit in the middle of the road. Their very cruel and merciless leader Mauricio checks his phone while hitting Carlos and sees Rosa's name in recent contacts. For him, it was enough to understand that Rosa knows something. So without any mercy, they mercilessly kill Carlos there. On the other side of the border, in the scorching desert of Arizona, a retired Marine named Jim was spending his day working on his dry and barren land near the US-Mexico border. He kept a watchful eye on his property, and whenever he saw anyone illegally crossing the border, he immediately alerted Border Patrol. One day, while taking care of his animals, Jim's eyes fall on a small group of people whose report he immediately broadcasts on the radio. Out of curiosity, he follows them from a distance. When he goes there, he finds out that he had left a man behind, whose leg was badly injured and bleeding. The rest of the people could not pick him up and take him away, so he left him to die in agony. Showing his humanity, Jim sends the man's location to Border Patrol on the radio and quietly returns home. After returning to the ranch, Jim's problems start increasing instead of decreasing. An agent at the bank directly comes to his house and reminds him that his loan payment was still pending because he had not paid a single installment in the last 6 months. The banker warns in a very harsh tone that his land will be auctioned off soon. In fact, in the treatment of his wife's long illness, Jim had lost all his savings for the rest of his life and he was drowning in debt. The bankers openly threaten that if he does not bring the money, they will seize the house forever. Finally, the agent tells him that he has only 90 days to arrange the money. After some time, Jim sets out to find a new job for himself in the city. But the employment office clearly stated that there is no job available there at his current age. Still, he made a false promise to try next month. Not giving up, Jim goes to a local cattle buyer to sell his remaining cows while driving. But the ordinary price offered to him there was very low, due to which even a small part of the loan was difficult to pay. Even after selling everything, his problems were not being solved. Completely tired and disappointed from the inside, Jim ends his long day in a nearby bar. The bartender was worried to see his worried face and immediately called Jim's stepdaughter, Sarah, who worked in Border Patrol. Sarah arrives there soon and Jim finally accepts that he is very badly in debt and is on the verge of losing his house. As night falls, he orders another drink to drink. But Sarah politely stops him and drives the car herself to the safe ranch. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Rosa and Miguel were constantly running from the desolate road of the village. The next day, they found a small broken road between the steel fence near the border. As soon as the cartel's bloodthirsty goons started coming very close to them, they started trying to get out of there very quietly. Coincidentally, Jim was in his car nearby and his eyes fell on his mother and son passing through the fence. Badly scared, Rosa joined her hands and begged him not to give her report to the police. Jim was a little confused to see all this, but being alert, he asked Rosa to ask Border Patrol for help and started making phone calls to tell him the location. But just then, many armed goons came in the lead of Mauricio and started cursing and threatening Jim and asking him to hand them over. Realizing the danger very quickly, Jim immediately pulled out his gun and made a big decision to save his life. As soon as he saw, blind bullets started firing there, and Jim hit the attacker in the dust with a perfect aim. Then he quickly put Rosa and Miguel in his truck and left very fast. Mauricio and his men started following them in the desert. During this dangerous chase, Mauricio jumped on Jim's truck, but Jim used all his strength to push him down. When Mauricio found out that the man who was shot by Jim was his own brother, his anger reached the seventh heaven. Now Mauricio not only wanted Miguel, but also wanted to avenge his brother's death. While running away from there, Jim noticed one thing: that a bullet had hit Rosa during the firing. She was badly injured. Her clothes were red with blood and she was breathing heavily. By gathering all his remaining strength, she gives Jim a folded handkerchief and the address of Chicago, which belonged to her relatives. Excel. She pleads, crying, to somehow save Miguel, otherwise the cartel will torture him to death. Saying this, that poor mother closed her eyes forever. After a while, the police and paramedics team reached the scene of the incident. Sarah told Jim that Miguel will stay in the station tonight and he will be sent to foster care tomorrow. The next morning, Jim's eyes opened where his loyal dog Jackson was sleeping next to him. At that time, he saw a car which was used by the cartel to follow him. Inside the truck, Jim found the bag which Rosa had left behind, and it was full of cash. Seeing the blood-stained clothes, the painful moments of Rosa's death began to spin fast in his mind. Now that money was not the solution to his problems, but the last responsibility of Rosa, which he could not ignore. Remembering his promise, he starts the truck and starts looking for Miguel. Jim reached the border station in a hurry. An officer told him that Miguel was going to be handed over to his relatives in Mexico. But Jim felt something was wrong inside. As soon as he looked out of the window, he recognized the cartel men. Keeping himself completely calm, he asked the officer to talk to Miguel alone for a few minutes. As soon as he entered the room, Jim started working fast and quietly took Miguel out of the hallway through a side door so that no one could see him. And once again, both disappeared in the light of the outside world. Mauricio, standing in the parking lot, was watching all this. In anger, he made his final decision that he would cross the American border and find him from the underworld and kill him. Coming back to Arizona, Jim stays on the ranch for a while. He collects some necessary clothes, weapons, and some money. Meanwhile, Mauricio and his men illegally cross the border. Seeing them, the frightened officer lets them go ahead without any resistance. Jim is a little far from the Miguel ranch, and he gives him a very stern warning that if he is caught, the goons will kill him mercilessly. The boy understood this. While driving, Jim tells him that he is going to Chicago, but the boy remained calm. Only then did Mauricio reach Jim's ranch while driving. In his search, he finds credit card receipts and an old Marine Corps badge. He realizes that Jim is not an ordinary person but a trained Marine. Mauricio orders his men to set the entire house on fire, and the property burned to ashes. On the way, Jim stops at the gas station to refuel his car and buys a paper map of Chicago. Through the receipts, Mauricio contacts the previous cartel members in America. When Jim calls Sarah, he finds out that the ranch has been destroyed. In anger, Jim starts arguing in the car. Then Miguel answers in English in a very low voice. Jim was surprised that the boy was understanding everything from the beginning. With the payment of the credit card at the gas station, Jim's location becomes clear and Mauricio reaches there quickly. On the refusal of the cashier woman, Mauricio shoots her without hesitation and leaves for the east after seeing the security footage. After going a little far, Jim's truck broke down. Because the garage was closed, he takes Miguel to a small diner where they talk openly for the first time. Miguel tells in a sad voice that the cartel is behind because of Uncle's big fight, and it had happened before his father's death. Knowing this, Jim felt bad, and that night he slept in the truck helplessly. When Jim woke up in the morning, he saw that Miguel and Jackson were missing. Out of fear, he suffocated. But then Miguel brought food from the nearby shop. He fixes the truck and continues his journey. Using the card, Mauricio again got the alert of the current location. On the way, Jim was telling his childhood stories, then a police car shines its lights and signals him to stop on the side. The officer comes close and asks for the ID. Jim tells calmly that he has a legally registered gun. The officer was talking on the phone in a low voice while wasting time. Jim immediately understood that the officer has been sold and is sending the location to the cartel. Jim directly asks how much money has been taken from the uniform of the trader. The officer takes out the gun in anger, but Jackson jumps on him and Jim turns around and hits him hard and makes him unconscious. They quickly sit in the truck and run away from there. After a while, Mauricio reached there and shot the unconscious officer. In the search, he found the road map of the gym. Jim and Miguel were watching this scene from a distance. Jim bought a shotgun from a gun shop. When he called Sarah, he found out that the dying man was Mauricio's real brother. He stayed in a small motel to rest at night. Miguel told him that when he reached Chicago, he wanted to eat a hot dog first. A few hours later, when Jim took Jackson out to get some fresh air, in the cold night, he saw Mauricio and his men. Jim quickly came to the room, woke up Miguel, and to distract the enemies, he called a fake robbery to the police. Both hid in the bushes in the dark. The cartel goons broke the door and entered, but the room was empty. In anger, Fireball Mauricio started shouting. Jim left Miguel in the truck and went back to get Jackson. But it was too late. The loyal dog was standing in front of Mauricio and he was shot. The next morning, Jim and Miguel buried the dog in a quiet place. Seeing the cash in Miguel's car, he accused Jim of greed. But later, they apologized to each other. Later, they stopped at a small church where Miguel sat on his knees and started praying for his mother. When the priest asked, Jim told him very gently that he had promised the child's mother that he would keep her safe. Jim called Sarah and told her the situation, but she refused to hand over the child to the police because he wanted to keep his promise. On the way to Chicago, Mauricio got a map of his destination. He ordered the city's cartel members to be fully prepared for the attack. On the way, Miguel saw Jim practicing with a rifle. So Jim taught him to shoot and open a weapon and join it. Miguel said that when he grew up, he would kill those men. Jim told him harshly that killing someone is not a great thing. At night, he took shelter under an old overpass. To save himself from the cold, he lit a small fire and put money cars in it. It was most important for him the next morning. He finally reached the outskirts of Chicago. While driving on the highway, Jim spotted two suspicious men. When he saw them, he immediately turned the car and took it out of the village so that he could take the enemies away from the city. The cartel's cars came very close to him. Jim turned the car very quickly and the second car collided with the trees and crashed. The truck's radiator was responding, so he stopped the car in a deserted and open field. Using his old military experience, Jim took a strong position with a rifle. He held his breath and fired while aiming for death. His bullet hit the man driving Mauricio's car, and the car was blown up and badly destroyed. Only Mauricio and his two men came out of the rubble and started blind firing. Jim immediately grabbed Miguel and entered an old dusty shed. Jim took a position near the window and told Miguel to run away. A cartel man came close. Jim pressed the trigger and surrounded him. Jim told Miguel to shoot so that the enemies could be distracted. As soon as the sound of the bullet echoed, Jim came out from the other side and accurately aimed and killed the other man. Now his last enemy, his leader Mauricio, was left. A few moments later, Mauricio broke the door and entered the shed and grabbed Miguel and put a gun on his head. He ordered Jim to put the gun down. Jim put the gun down slowly. Then Mauricio put the gun in Miguel's trembling hands and forced him to press the trigger. He shouted and said that today he will become a soldier. But Miguel knew very well how Jim had taught him to open the gun. He very cleverly pulled out the bullets from the gun. As soon as he pressed the trigger, there was a sound of an empty click. This momentary mistake gave Jim a chance. Jim jumped ahead very quickly and attacked Mauricio. As the bullets rained, they collided badly on the floor. In the midst of this fierce fight, Miguel picked up the gun and aimed it. Mauricio started provoking him to shoot. Jim immediately came forward and explained to Miguel that he should never keep the heavy burden of someone's death on his mind all his life. Jim took the gun from the boy's hand and fired a bullet which went straight into Mauricio's stomach. After that, he pointed at Miguel to go out. Bloodstained, Mauricio took out the same Marine badge that Jim had taken back. Jim gave him a chance to make his final decision. Either he was killed by Jim or he took his own life. Mauricio pointed the gun at him, and the sound of the last bullet echoed throughout the city. After avoiding the danger, Jim and Miguel set off again and reached the address that Rosa had written on the note. As soon as the door opened, his aunt and grandmother were in front of him. Before the boy could turn around and say goodbye to Jim, Jim had quietly disappeared from there. Pressing his injured part, Jim boarded a bus. He took a seat near the window, took a deep breath, and quietly closed his eyes. His last mission was now completely successful. Thanks for watching and subscribe this channel.